I'm working off of 3 half-dead batteries. I'm not even supposed to be filming right now. I was supposed to go work out, but I can't stop thinking about making this video. And every time I see a queer knight or lady knight story, it just gets me excited to do this again. I'm going to be making a video of books I want to read with lady and queer knights in them, because this seems to be a phenomenon that's brewing for 2025 and possibly 2026. By all means, let it carry on until 2026. But I keep seeing queer knights and lady knights and lesbian knights, just non-typical knights popping up on my stories, on my feeds, and I'm just so ecstatic for it. It's getting me revved up. So I'm gonna go over all of the books I recently accumulated as books I want to read, have thrown onto my TBR, specifically because their main focal point or main character is a knight and not your traditional Arthurian knight where, you know, it's a boy. My origins with lady knights goes pretty darn far back with Tamara Pierce, so I'm going to also give some recommendations for books with queer knights and lady knights just to kind of get us going, and then I'm going into all the ones I want to read. Only the first few are actual recommendations where I completely stand by them, but all of them I'm very excited about. First, of course, I'm going to go ahead and toss up the Lioness Quartet. This is by Tamara Pierce. It starts with Alana the First Adventure. It's also where I recommend you start reading within Tortall universe. By Tamara Pierce, it follows Alana, who is a girl, and in this world, girls cannot be knights. She's meant to be a mage, but she also has a twin brother who has no interest in being a knight and wants to be a mage. They swap places, she goes to be a knight, and by the end of the book, you get this babe. This was my entire childhood. I recently just did a vlog where I try and write like Tamara Pierce because she is so inspiring to me. Within that same universe, but not where I would start, Protector of the Small, The First Test, and Lady Knight, which is where it ends, and this also has women knights. I don't want to say too much about this one because I think that it gives some parts away of the first quartet, but it takes place in the same world, still trying to beat away the stigma of being ladies. Then some people will be surprised I'm bringing this book up, but it was the best part of this book. Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon has a fantastic dynamic between like a knight guard and a queen. I loved their dynamic. It's very sapphic. It was by far the best part of the story. And while I didn't really care for the book as a whole, that didn't happen to me until the last 10 or 15% of the book. Beforehand, absolutely loved it, and my opinion is not incredibly popular. Priory of the Orange Tree has a large set cast and takes place in a queendom where the queen is expected to conceive a child in order to stop devastation from happening. However, assassins have been attacking her and a character ends up being tasked with protecting her. This is part of a much larger story that's happening, but to really narrow in, while I don't know if they use the term knight, I think it definitely fits within this trope. Then there's no way I'm not bringing up Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Gideon is a knight. And while this is like a sapphic queer space opera with necromancy, and so they're not using the typical names of like knight, Gideon is sworn to protect Harrow, who is not her favorite person, and they journey off-world for Harrow to compete to become a lictor, and then a murder mystery happens. There is so much to unpack with this. I love this book. Gideon is definitely within the lady knight genre. It's my favorite book of all time, so definitely recommend it. One I haven't talked about for a while, but definitely has a lady knight is Guinevere's Deception. This is by Kirsten White and has a bit of gender bending with King Arthur and his knights. It's sapphic, it's queer, and Guinevere does end up with Lancelot, but with a sapphic twist. I haven't read it in a long time, but I remember that being one of the highlights was Lancelot and Guinevere's relationship, and I think I was most invested in that more so than the plot itself. If you are looking for lady knights, look no further. Moving on to books I'm just highly interested in. The first one I'm going to bring up is Her Pretty Knight by Mariah Ray Birch, and this says an addictive, forbidden romance between a fake princess and her bodyguard. After losing everything 10 years ago, Sir Galeon has dedicated her life to serving her kingdom as a knight. When the prince entrusts her with guarding his soon-to-be bride in his arranged marriage, Galeon does not expect to have her heart captured by the confounding princess. It sounds really good. I had not heard about it previously until I started seeing more lady knights and then started looking for them, so it was immediately added to the list. Swerving back into Arthurian legend, but making it queer and non-binary. This is not a lady knight. This is a knight and a non-binary knight. And this is following a knight named Silence who is making a name for themselves in what sounds to be a somewhat binary world and where they fit in as a knight. It does have some Arthurian undertones as Merlin, I believe, hides them away in order to have them appear later, but I'm not entirely sure on that. It might also be gender bent between Arthur is hidden away and Silence comes in. It wasn't entirely clear to me, but All of the books will be linked down below in case you want to check them out, so you can do your own sleuthing or possibly have better reading comprehension. Then we have The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. This is one that's actually been on my list for a long time, but I had not made the connection between lady knights and like warriors, soldiers, military class. This is following a colonized world where our main character is a soldier and was raised in this colonized world, but there is a rebellion going on and they are on the other end of it as a soldier. The princess of the colonizers is supposed to be ascending the throne, but because her uncle and the king is unwilling to let her ascend to the throne, she approaches this lady knight with the option of helping her ascend to the throne, and I'm hoping they learn a little bit more about the rebellion. It sounds really good. It's been on my list for a long time. I've heard that writing is phenomenal. I've heard that the storytelling is phenomenal. The themes are really well done, but it has been out for a little while, so while it had somehow slid down the list just because there's so many books I want to read, it's back up now. The next one is Spear by Nicola Griffith, and this is a Percival retelling where our main character is raised in the forest and away from the rest of the world. She has lots of questions. Her mother has absolutely no answers and keeps her cut off, and over time she becomes curious enough that she decides to journey out on her own and become a knight, specifically for Arthos, the King of Caerleon. This is listed as a novella as well as being queer, and any chance to read a new Arthurian legend retelling is also just gonna work for me. In the good sense, this was a double-edged sword, double-edged spear. Anyway, we're moving on. Alex E. Harrow is one that is back on the map for me after reading Starling House, which is a Southern Gothic. However, it wasn't the fact that it was a Southern Gothic that got me invested in Starling House, but the characters, the atmosphere, and the gorgeous, lush writing. Finding out that Alex E. Harrow has a 30-page short story that is heavily acclaimed and admired about a knight who dies 6 times on page in order to protect her prince is of high interest to me. I don't know much more than that because, again, 30 pages, but the things I have heard about this story make me want to eat it alive. That also has an audiobook, which is nice. I love a good audiobook. Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken is a story that takes place at first in what seems like urban setting or an urban fantasy setting, where our main character is a hollow and collects magical artifacts. However, when her ward disappears and her brother is cursed, she goes ahead and journey hops to different realms in order to find a ring that will grant her one wish, and she ends up in Avalon. So this definitely has, again, Arthurian legend undertones. Portal stories are not necessarily always for me, but I have also been proven wrong with that before because I really loved Bridget Kemmerer's series, which starts us off in Boston or something, and then it turns into a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I've been proven wrong before, and if it's a lady knight, I'll give it a try. Gwen Art Are Not in Love has been on my radar for a long time. It's going to be one of the books I try and read for a romance vlog that I've been planning. I don't know when that romance vlog will be coming about. Kind of have to decide how I want to structure it, if I want to read them all at once or just film every time I pick one up. But it's an Arthurian legend retelling where Guinevere and Arthur, I believe, are both queer and are not in love, but they are in love with their counterparts. So while they're in this arranged marriage, they are falling in love with other people. From what I understand, it's a very quirky rom-com medieval story, but it definitely seems like something I could be interested in, and my lack of experience with rom-coms in general is not going to prevent me from reading a queer lady knight story. Sisters of the Sword and Shadow is one that definitely went under my radar, but I loved the premise when hearing about it. It's a sisterhood of knights who band together and go out pretending to be men to win tournaments against men. It's them like just trying to make ends meet. This definitely appeals to me on like several different levels, and I'm going to be giving it a try. Faebound is another one I might be reading for my romance vlog. Maybe I'll just read it on the side since it's less about a romantic book and more of a romantasy. This has definitely become more and more of a phenomenon. There's so many to trudge through, I don't actually know where to start, but I have heard really wonderful things about Faebound, which has our 2 elven characters, one being a warrior in the elven army, and I believe that both of them possibly get banished during a war in which there used to be 3 different races, elves, fae, and humans, and now it seems as if only elves are around and they are fighting over resources. It sounds like it has military political fantasy vibes as well as being a romantasy, so I don't know really where this falls in genre-wise, but I think it has a lot of things mixed together that I really enjoy, so I definitely will be reading it, if not for a specific vlog, at some point, if only to get more warrior knight vibes. Fireborne Blade is another novella, I believe, and it is following our main character who is trying to regain her honor in a world where there are not very many lady knights, and she has a different amount of pressure on her to regain that honor and prestige in order to set an example or be the example for other women knights. So she is tasked with nearly the impossible when she has to go to a dragon's lair and try and retrieve a mythical sword. The cover is gorgeous. I also have dragon books on my mind right now because I have Draconathon coming up, which is me and my friend Soleil's dragon-based readathon. So I might be reading this one sooner rather than later, and I'm very excited for it. I could not find much on this one, and it sounds really interesting, but I'm having a hard time summing it up, so I'm gonna give you a bit of the synopsis and we'll just kind of vibe with that together. In a city clinging to light during an age of darkness, all healer Ophelia wants is for a saint to finally claim her. She's worked tirelessly to prove herself worthy of the mysteries, the sacred magical power that only the saints can bestow upon mortals of their choosing. When she's tasked with caring for an injured prisoner is none other than the Umbra Knight, the most dangerous warrior of Lumende's sworn enemy. Oh god, I have dyslexia, just so you know. Sepulchre. The Sepulchre. You died. We're back. If she can save the Umbra Knight's soul by converting her to the Church of the Host, the saints will surely fight amongst themselves to claim Ophelia. Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds like a vibe. I want to read it. After that is another novella, Brighter Than Scale, Swifter Than Flame by Neon Yang. This is more of a dragon slayer knight who has been slaying dragons most of her life and starts to wonder if there's anything more to this, possibly starts to question the authorities, goes to a neighboring kingdom and falls in love with the queen. It seems like this is not dragon heavy, but more political romance heavy, but has a lady knight and is definitely worth mentioning, especially since it looks like it's quite a small page count. This has become one of my most anticipated books. It's not the most anticipated book on this list, but it's very high up there just because I've been hearing amazing things about it, which makes me equal parts wary and very excited. The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig is one that I have seen completely take over Bookstagram, BookTube, and when I ever venture on there, Book Talk, is seen as like gothic, beautiful, the perfect romantasy, and specifically follows a diviner who sees prophecies and has almost like a coven of fellow diviners, but after those diviners start to disappear, the main character sets off with a knight who doesn't believe in diviners or doesn't enjoy or like them, and the two have to journey out to go find her missing fellow diviners. The cover is gorgeous. It took my breath away. The reviews are really good for it. I am going to wait for a few more of my most trusted recommendations to come in, just because right now it seems like there's a lot of anticipation and a lot of excitement and stir and buzz around it, but not as many actual recommendations. So I am gonna wait a little bit longer, but I am also very excited for it because I am not impervious to the hype. I can be just as much of a sucker for hype as anyone else, especially with a gorgeous cover. The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. I can do this. The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling is one that I have looked at previously as wanting to read very soon. It's one of my most anticipated releases. From what I'm understanding, it's speculative horror. The speculative definitely veers into like odd and almost psychedelic. There's descension into madness, possibly cannibalism. I don't know what's going on. I just know I really want to read it, and I'll go ahead and read you the synopsis so you want to read it too. Amar Castle has been under siege for 6 months. Food is running low and there's been no sign of rescue. Just as the survivors consider deliberately thinning their numbers, the castle stores are replenished. The sick are healed and the divine figures of the Constant Lady and her saint have arrived, despite the barricade gates offering succor in return for adoration. Soon the castle is under the sway of their saviors, partaking in intoxicating feasts of terrible origin. The war hero, Sir Voyne, gives her allegiance to the Constant Lady, the lady knight of it all. Poison, a disorganized, paranoid nun turned sorceress. A transfixing fever dream of medieval horror following 3 women in a besieged castle that descends ravenously into madness under the spell of mysterious godlike visitors. This is one of my most anticipated releases, for sure. Next up is Lady Knight. This is by Amy Kaufman, who I have read and enjoyed from before, as well as Megan Spooner. Lady Knight follows a blacksmith who wants to enter a tournament just to say that she's tried it, and then a princess benefactor comes in and gives her enough in order to enter it. Once she wins the first tournament, she is put into the higher competition, and you find out that the princess has an ulterior motive for our blacksmith turned knight to want to win, and that is because the person who wins this tournament will also win her hand in marriage. However, she is not thrilled by the prospect of any of these men marrying her, and so the two kind of come up with a plot in order to rig the system. It's a YA, but I feel like all of the mischievousness and sapphicness of it will make it more for me, even though I've been reading more adult lately. Definitely still love YA stories and what they do, and this one seems like it's going to hit just right. Princess Night just sounds like a really good time. Originally, I had added this to my list because it was called Medievally Blonde. That is because it is a Legally Blonde retelling, and I'll just read the short synopsis because it pretty much sums it up. A princess desperate to win back the prince who broke her heart follows him into his kingdom's prestigious military academy, and in doing so, falls in love, saves the realm, and continues to look fabulous in this delightful debut fantasy. It's literally Legally Blonde and making a princess turn into a knight. Like, it's hard. I love this. I like a quirky rom-com, maybe. I don't know yet. I haven't had enough quirky rom-coms in my life to know if I like this, but I think I will. That's why it's on my list. It doesn't come out till October. Go ahead and stick it on your list, and then we'll wait together. The Isle of the Silver Sea is one that I don't know too much about. It doesn't come out until October, but again, the cover got me. The knightness of it all definitely got me. And then I know the basics of the premise, which is that a knight and a witch are destined to fall in love, but they are also expected to doom each other again and again. The synopsis says specifically, Simran is a witch of the woods, Vina is a knight of the queen's court. When the two women begin to fall in love with each other, how can they surrender to their desires when to give in is to destroy each other? As they seek a way to break the cycle, a mysterious assassin begins targeting tales like theirs. To survive, the two will need to write a story stronger than the one fate has given them. But what tale is stronger than the knight and the witch? Sounds really good. Doesn't come out until October, but it's on my radar. And then we have another Alex E. Harrow. I recently brought this up in my mid-year freakout tag video, but I wanted to highlight it more because it is one of my most anticipated reads. This is The Everlasting, and it also, unfortunately, comes out in October. Autumn, gonna be great for books. Sounds like it's gonna be great for lady knights. And also, it's so hot, I can't think about autumn. This synopsis says, reluctant lady knight and not so heroic historian will fight through time and space to rewrite their tragic fates and finally reveal the truth hidden beneath the greatest legend ever told. A girl not yet a knight and a boy without a story. It is where she pulls a sword from the heartwood and becomes a legend. And it is where, more than over 1,000 years later, he will find her and lose her and find her again. I really am thinking that Alex E. Harrow is going to just be for me. The yearning of it, the epic folklore, fantasy, Arthurian undertones, here for it, I'm ready for it. The cover is gorgeous. Then we have Deadly Ever After. This doesn't come out until November, so we got a really long wait. The cover is beautiful. The synopsis is interesting and compelling to me. Two dead princesses must find true love's kiss to bring them back to life in this heart-stopping romantic fantasy debut. Mala has spent her whole life trying to be the perfect, delicate, quiet, obedient. But when she is murdered on the night of her wedding, her story is cut short where it begins. Dacia has been told her whole life that she is too rough, too loud, too much. She's no ordinary princess, but a ruthless warrior on a quest to fulfill her late brother's dying wish, except she dies before reaching her destination. When both girls wake up in the cursed forest, the gods offer them a second chance at life, if they can find true love's kiss. But there's a catch, the gods warn. While the right kiss will save you, the wrong kiss will kill you. Says it's lesbian, says it's young adult. Says it has lady knights, so I'm in. I think that this is my most anticipated on the list, possibly. It's hard to say. The second death of Locke is one that, first off, that cover, it gets me. There's something about this cover that is just like so gorgeous. The name, The Second Death of Locke, really elicits something out of me. And then this follows a knight who is a sworn protector of her mage. And from the description of the story, their bond is really what makes this story so powerful. She will do anything to protect her mage, and in a war-torn world, they are very bonded together by all that they've had to see and do. And then they are tasked with taking a child over into enemy territory because the child is supposed to fulfill a certain prophecy. There is a catch in that they know this child does not fulfill the prophecy. That is part of the reason why this knight is protecting her mage, is he is part of the prophecy. I really, really want to read this. I feel like I'm going to have a hardcore crush on this knight. I don't know, I feel very, very, very excited for it. It doesn't come out until September. This is just letting you know that it exists and it's coming, and I am very, very ready for it. That is the end of my list of queer knights and lady knights. I know that this was not a fully comprehensive video of every lady knight or queer knight out there. There's probably so many I missed. Some I've actually probably have read and I just didn't think of it. But again, I was very excited to film this video. Let me know which ones I missed below, or which ones are your favorites, which ones are you anticipating coming out. I have made a list of all of these books down below with affiliate links, so you can go ahead and check that out there if that's of interest to you, or you can go ahead and just leave me the clashing swords emoji to celebrate this trend that's going on, because I'm very, very excited for it and I hope you are too. But whether you are or not, I hope you are enjoying the sun or more stars wherever you are, and until next time, bye!